going on, everybody? Who doesn't like a gear video? So, posting some videos on this channel, which has been an experiment, a fun experiment, that's for sure. I can't believe, I think there's 125 people now that watch these, so it's really cool to me. But definitely, the videos that get the most views are the gear videos, which, I can't say it's a surprise. Those are the ones that I watch the most of too. So the trip videos are probably a little bit more fun to film, but the gear videos are cool too because hopefully somebody learned something from it. So as I was kind of sitting around the last couple days, playing around YouTube, a lot of people are starting to post their 2023 gear lists, HE through hikers, getting ready to do all that stuff, posting what they're taking, which is awesome. I wish that's what this was. It's not. Definitely not through hiking the AT anytime soon. But it did get me thinking about just an overall gear video for what I carry for the most part. And as I thought about this, I was actually thinking about this while I was unpacking everything from the last trip that I posted with my son, which was definitely not ultralight like this gear list will be. It really got me thinking, if you were new to backpacking and you were watching YouTube videos to get ideas, it really makes it sound like there's one gear setup for every situation. And I think people who've been doing this a while can really kind of say that's not the case. Really not, at least not for me. I don't know. But there's definitely different loadouts for different scenarios. I've already posted on here my winter loadout, which is obviously a lot more layers, heavier gear, different things for those temperatures. But it's not only really the temperature that you got to really consider, it's the terrain you're going in, where you're going to be camped, and just generally what you're doing on the trip. At least to me, if that's not true, then post some comments and we'll talk about it. But for me, there's two different really types of trips that I take. There's overnight trips where, I'm only going maybe 4 or 5 miles total, maybe only a couple miles into camp, and then a couple miles out, maybe a few more, where I'm not really worried about long distance. I'm not as worried about taking my lightest weight stuff. It's more about fun in camp. A lot of the videos that'll get posted on here will just be kind of overnight videos. And there's been a lot of those kind of popping up on YouTube here lately as channels with guys taking more stuff and cooking like full meals in the woods. Those are entertaining to me. I don't know if they are to everybody else. But just different stuff like that. And then there's the trips where you're covering a lot of miles. I took a trip to the Smokies and used most of this gear. There was a lot of ups and downs. The Wind River Range trip that's posted on here. So that one, we definitely did more miles, definitely did more elevation. I carried my little bit heavier pack with my REI Flash 55. And I did carry my heavier stove just because we weren't covering a ton of miles, but I didn't want to take super heavy stuff because of the elevation. And then there's the trip I posted on here that was Red River Gorge trip, and that one was really pretty much my complete lightweight gear. I wanted to take as light as stuff as I could take, so I had the extra ability in case my son got tired of carrying everything he wanted to carry, so I could add to my pack, and then just generally be able to make it up and down all the hills we climbed and everything like that. So for me anyway, it depends on the type of trip. This loadout would be what I would consider my lightweight, dare I say ultralight. That's a buzzword. It's a tough word. There's a lot of argument about this on different Facebook groups and what's ultralight and what's not ultralight. I don't really know. I think it's technically, if your base weight's below 10 pounds, I got to be honest, I don't weigh out my stuff. I pay attention to it when I'm buying it, but after that, I kind of forget. This loadout here with everything in it, minus food and water and fuel, it's around 10 pounds. It varies on the layers that I put in it and the sleeping bag or the quilt that I use. But this, the way it sits, is right around, call it 10, 11 pounds. to me, by the time I add food and water, we're barely touching 20. That's pretty darn lightweight. I don't know that I'll ever be a guy that tries to get to this 6-7 pound just camping under a tarp. I like the security of a tent. I mean, I applaud you guys that can just rock out a tarp setup and lay in the dirt on your sleeping pad. I don't get scared of too many things. Oops, that was probably loud. I just bumped the mic. I don't get scared of too many things. I don't like spiders. And that's about all that would take. If I was laying under a tarp and I woke up and there was a spider anywhere around me, it would sound like a teenage girl was in the woods. It's just not my thing. So I like the security of a tent. But this is the loadout that I've used for years. A couple things have changed, but for the most part, it's the same. And I can hike for miles and miles and miles, and I've never had an issue. So we're going to go through my ultralight setup and what's going to go with me on the bulk of my longer distance multi-day trips this year. Okay, so let's talk about this gear. So the pack that I use for my ultralight trips is my Gossamer Gear G420 pack. I'm definitely going to have to do a separate review video of this. It was featured in, this pack was in my favorite gear from 2022. I absolutely love this pack. Gossamer Gear, you know, it's funny, I don't really see a ton of videos about Gossamer Gear, specifically their packs. Probably because they're not DCF packs, which everybody loves. Hyperlight packs, Z-Packs packs. I have no problem with those companies, but I absolutely love this pack. This is the frameless version. The G420 is their frameless pack. The only thing it has for a frame is the sit pad that's in the little mesh sleeves you can take out, which is awesome because it doubles as a sit pad, which I'll use it for. But this thing carries, well, I carried it in the Red River Gorge video, but I was carrying 6 liters of water myself and my gear up a hill. Now, that was only for about 3 miles, but I was surprised that it was still pretty comfortable. But if you can keep this thing in the 20 to 22 pound range, this pack is fantastic for it. I absolutely love it. I've been through a ton of backpacks. This is my favorite. This pack is fantastic. So let's just start with, I'm going to call it the back of the pack. It goes against my back. I think the other part people call the back too. This is the back to me, whatever. So I just hang my Garmin. This is the InReach Explorer Plus on the front. It's not the Mini, but I do like the fact that with this, it's easier to see the maps. And if you ever need to send messages with this, maybe your cell phone dies, whatever it is, so you can't use the app, this is a whole lot easier to actually send a text than the Mini. My buddy's got the Mini, and that's about the only thing, honestly, the only 2 differences, really. This is easier to see, and this is easier to send text if you need to. So it's the one I got. I like it. Hip belt pockets, so usually one of them will just be for snacks for the day. It's empty because I don't have any snacks in there. The other side pouch, these things have a ton of space in them. The other side pouch here, I've got my headlamp. It's just a black diamond spot, I think. Probably going to upgrade this year to get one that's rechargeable with USB ports and stuff, since I carry the battery pack. Then I don't have to worry about batteries for this thing. But black diamond headlamp. And then I'll just carry hand sanitizer, depending on the time of year, usually some sunscreen. The world's biggest thing of chapstick. I can't stand not having chapstick. So this is about the largest one I could find. Offensively large, it says. You probably can't read it, but that way I don't lose it. And then I got this in the Wind River range, and I was glad I had it. Just a little Sea to Summit head net for bugs. I mean, it weighs, I don't know, maybe an ounce. It probably wouldn't even register on a scale, but it's just cheap insurance to make sure I don't have bugs driving me nuts. So I got that too. The side pockets. So this one does have the taller side pocket on one side, which is, you can put certain shelters in it. If I carry like my chair or something, it'll fit in here. If I take the Gossamer Gear, the one tent, it will fit in here too. But a lot of times this pack ends up being so empty because I just don't pack a lot. If I put the tent out here, it's just not filled up enough, and it's just weird. So a lot of times I don't put it in there. So I'll carry this, a 1.5 liter, just Nalgene bottle, for two reasons. One, I started getting stickers from companies when I order gear, and it just gives me a place to put them. Maybe it makes me hike faster. I don't know. But the 1.5 liter bottle just gives me the capability to carry more water if I need to. Usually when I take off, I'll just put a liter of water in this, and then I'll carry a smart water bottle or something on the other side. But this way, if I know we're going to go for a longer stretch without water, it just gives me that extra ½ liter capacity. So I like taking it. Yes, I could just carry 2 smart water bottles or buy a 1.5 liter one. I don't have to worry about this breaking, and it gives me a place to put my stickers. And, maybe I'm saving the environment by not buying as many water bottles. And then the other side, like I said, another water bottle pocket. This one's lower, so this one is easier to get into. That's why I usually put the 1.5 liter one in there. And then as I start to run out with my main drinking bottle, I can just add water to this. But it's cut nice and low, so it's easy to get to when it's on your back and easy to put back in. Right now, it's just got the leftover bottle of bougie water, as my son was calling it. If you saw our winter trip, you saw our taste test. Spoiler alert, Fiji water doesn't really taste any different. All right. And then you've got the big stretchy mesh pocket on the front of the Gossamer Gear packs. And I love the fact that on theirs, this bottom section has the tougher nylon like the rest of the pack. So when you set it down, you're not setting that mesh in the dirt. So that way it's not susceptible to tears. I'm not necessarily super careful with stuff like hiking through brush and everything like that. And I have no snags or tears on this. So it's been fine. I guess if it ever tears, that's what duct tape's for, but it's been fine for me. So first thing in here, my junk drawer bag. I guess what some people would call a ditty bag, but I hate that phrase. It's a weird word. Just got everything from, tent repair patches, sleeping pad repair kits, contact stuff, pills, fire starter, backup matches, batteries, which hopefully I'll be getting rid of because I need to buy a rechargeable headlamp. Just stuff like that. It's a junk drawer bag. And it's in a little Z-Packs Cuban fiber stuff sack. My giant metal match fire starter thing with a mirror and a compass and a little thermometer. Honestly, it's just sentimental. My girlfriend got it for me like 3 years ago, and I carry it on every trip. It's completely unnecessary weight, but it makes me happy, so I carry it. I have had to use it once to start my stove, though, so it has saved my life once. Just electronics. So the Anchor, this is the 20,000 milliamp charger, and then all the different cables to charge the Garmin, to charge this phone, watch, the mics. My wireless mic will go in here too. So I have the 20,000 just because I do a lot of this, and it works. I mean, it's literally lasted me on like a 6 or 7 day trip before it finally wore out. So this is the one I carry. Just a little pack towel. I never really used to carry these until I started carrying single wall tents, like especially if I take the Gossamer Gear, the one. It's just nice to be able to wipe the condensation out from the inside. Or if you're just wiping the moisture off your rain fly before you pack it up, dry things out. They're handy to have, and it weighs nothing. Pack cover. So I do have a pack cover. It's just a little Sea to Summit pack cover. It technically says it's for a 50 liter to a 70 liter. I've used it with this one plenty of times, and it fits. It's got little tighteners on it. I've never had an issue where it was blowing off. I do line the bag on the inside to keep all my down stuff and sleeping bag and all that dry, but I'd rather carry this than the extra weight of the pack being soaked from rain. So I got a pack cover. Sawyer Squeeze water filter. It's the regular size Sawyer Squeeze water filter. I've been using those for 5 or 6 years. At this point, I've tried them all between the mini, the micro, and the regular size. The regular size is the way to go. I mean, the flow rate on the other two just sucks. This doesn't hardly weigh anymore. It's the one I've always used. I've never had an issue with the bags. I've seen people on YouTube complaining about the bags failing. I've probably just jinxed myself. I usually carry 2 just in case one fails, but I haven't had any issue. And then rain gear. I kind of talked about this in the winter trip. The rain jacket I use 90% of the time is just a Frog Togs rain jacket. You can buy the sets with the pants. The pants are useless. At least for me, they did nothing for me. They just fall apart. But the jacket's been fantastic. It's never wet out on me. It blocks wind. It does a great job. I do have a heavier Gore-Tex one. I guess if I know I'm just going out in a monsoon, or if I'm going to go somewhere where I'm up above tree line a lot, I would probably take it just because it's beefier. Now that I have it for wintertime, I'll probably take it wintertime. But this thing's been great, and it's lighter weight than anything out there, and it's never failed me yet. And if it does, it's literally like $26 for this and the pants. So, and then rain pants. These are just the REI brand. They're basic rain pants. They zip up, I don't know, about 1/3 of the way up the leg. I do kind of wish they zipped a little bit further because I usually have to still end up taking my shoes off to put these on. But I always carry rain pants, honestly, really not for rain. It's just to keep wind off. I hike a lot in shorts most of the time. So this way, if it's cold in the morning or it's really windy, I can just throw these on over my shorts and retain a lot of heat. And then, when I get up in the morning and I've got my fleece long underwear pants on, I can throw these on over the top just to make sure they don't get dirty. Or if anything else, I spread them out in the vestibule of my tent, so when I'm getting in and out, I'm not stepping in the dirt. And I think that, and then stakes for the tent. So there's the tent stakes. That's everything on the outside. So let's go on the inside of the pack. I don't know why I was singing there for a second. All right, first things first. So this is the new tent. You've seen it in a video. It's definitely the most popular one I've posted so far. This is the Durston Gear X-Mid one-person tent. I haven't taken it on a trip yet, but setting it up, testing it out between this and the Gossamer Gear the One. You saw my thoughts in another video. If you didn't, I'll find a way to link it down here. I don't really know how to do that, but I'm going to try. So we'll see if I can make it work. Where I compared this tent to my other 2 one-man tents, my Gossamer Gear the One and my REI Quarter Dome SL1 tent. I'm excited to get it out. I feel like it's going to be more weather resistant than the Gossamer Gear the One tent. The Gossamer Gear tent is great, but because it's still nylon, when it gets wet, it stretches really bad, so it'll sag on you. And just the way it's shaped, it's kind of a wind sail. So you really have to be smart with where you camp to stay out of the wind. This one's double wall, so condensation isn't that big of an issue, and it's a sil poly, which doesn't stretch when it gets wet. I've seen some comments of people saying that it's not as durable as sil nylon. I guess I'll find out, but looking at it and kind of feeling the material, it doesn't feel brittle or like it would tear at all. It actually feels more durable to me, but I guess we'll see. And then the shape of it is much more pyramid-like. So for shedding wind, snow, stuff like that, I think it'll be a little bit better. And then it has 2 doors and 2 vestibules, even being a one-person tent. So it's smaller on the inside of the bug net where you're at. It's big enough to put my large sleeping pads in and have a little bit of space still at the head and foot because of its shape. But because you have vestibules on both sides, you've got plenty of room to spread stuff out. So we'll try it. Honestly, I only bought the one-person version just to do that video, and then really kind of planned on selling this and buying the 2-person one for trips where I wanted a little more space. But I'm going to try it a few times, and we'll see. Maybe not. Okay. Next thing, Melanzana microgrid hoodie. This comes on every trip with me. Makes me feel like I'm an important backpacker because I have one. Honestly, it's super lightweight. It's super warm for the weight. This thing is fantastic. I mean, if it's not below the mid 50s with my normal thermal undershirt I'll have in here, and this, I'm usually fine. I don't have to. I'm even have to get my down jacket out. Yes, you could find different fleece pullovers that'll do the same thing, but I like the hood. I like the kangaroo pocket on it. I love this thing. Every trip this comes with me. Then we've got the all-important toilet paper, which I guess I did forget. I normally would have trowel out here too. I didn't get it out of the box. But toilet paper, obvious reasons. And then cook kit. So my lightweight cook kit, just a little fuel can when I'm going on 2-3 day trips. The smaller fuel cans are usually enough for me. And then I just use the Toaks 750 milliliter pot. And then I've got the Optimus Crux light stove is the stove I've been using. I love this thing. This was also in that favorite gear video. Boils water quick. It's very quiet, very fuel efficient, very lightweight. I like this thing. I have the BRS, the even lighter weight one, but for me, the extra maybe 1.5 ounces that this weighs, the performance of it is much better. And then I just have a little lighter in here, and then my cup. I don't know if you can find these things anymore, but it was, I think, Mini Bowl Designs is where I got it. It's literally a cup made out of a Foster's beer can with some fabric on it so it doesn't burn your hands, a little silicone lip guard, and a lid. I think it weighs 1.5 ounces. So I love it. That's the cook kit. And then food. So just for the sake of the video, I've got probably an overnight's worth of food in here. Snacks, a lunch, dinner, and some breakfast in a Z-Packs bear bag. This is just the smaller of the two sizes, which is honestly usually always good enough for me. If I jam, I've put 4 days worth of food in it. I just have to put my snacks other places. When I've got that much food, I'll usually separate lunch and stuff for the day and put it in a bag on top. This has always been enough for me. And then we get down into everything we want to keep dry. So all that gets lined in a Nylaflume pack liner that I bought from Gossamer Gear. I've used trash compactor bags too. This just fits this pack really well, so I use it. But the sleeping pad that I use for these, I use the Thermarest NeoAir Ultralight. So I've got different sleeping pads. If the temperatures are not going to get below 50 degrees, typically I'll always take this sleeping pad. If it's going to get a little cooler, I'll supplement it with a Thermarest like 3/4 length Z-Lite pad that I'll just strap to the top of the pack. And that's been fine for me really down into the 40s. I have the Nemo Tensor insulated pad too, which I could take if it's cooler. Sometimes I switch it out, just depends. But if I'm trying to go as light as possible, this is the one. And this is just the regular size. I'm a side sleeper though, so being a bigger guy, I'm 6'1". Pretty much I'm right on the edge of the length with it, but I get on my side and usually kind of curl up a little bit anyway. So the width doesn't bother me and the length ends up being fine. And I use a pillow too. So I like this pad, and people have kind of given this pad a bad rap saying that it leaks, it's super brittle. I mean, it's lightweight. I think this is like 7.5 ounces. It's definitely thinner than like the Nemo pad or the Thermarest, like the X-Lite or the X-Therm, definitely. You can kind of see through it. But I'm careful with it, and I've yet to have a problem. Pillow, like I said, so I did just upgrade this. I've been using the little Trekology inflatable pillows, and they've been fine. But we finally had one on this last trip with my son that just kind of bit the dust, and the other one that I use a lot was also starting to leak. So I needed a new pillow, and I went ahead and tried. This is the Nemo Philo Elite pillow. This thing is fantastic. I haven't slept on it yet, but it's got like a soft fabric on it. Something about the way the baffles are, it cradles your head a little bit better. The valve is pretty easy to use, and I like this thing. It weighs, I think, 6 ounces, so maybe an ounce or two more than the Trekology ones, but it's very comfortable. So I'm excited to try this out. The clothes, so this is just for average, like these can change obviously, but this is kind of my usual go-to. Just a smart wool on 250 weight top, and then some mid-weight just fleece, whoop, things are falling, just some mid-weight fleece long underwear pants. I have thinner ones if it's going to be warm. I have heavier ones if it's going to be cold, but these are usually the go-to for most everything. I didn't intentionally mean to throw the balaclava in there. It must have been tangled up in the pants, but hey, you know, maybe every now and then you take a balaclava. Probably not for my normal temperatures. I will always usually take some thin gloves. These are just some thin liner gloves. I mean, I've been on trips where it's not supposed to get super cold, but having these gloves was a big savior. So just some thin gloves. And then my thin little Appalachian Gear Company alpaca wool beanie. I mean, I don't think it hardly weighs anything. You can kind of see through it in some spots. The amount of warmth you get from this little thing is fantastic. Most trips, this is all I take. If it's wintertime, I'll take a heavier wool hat to switch out to, but this thing is awesome. And then socks to sleep in. I always bring an extra pair of socks to sleep in. If it's going to be a multi-day trip, I'll usually throw an extra pair of hiking socks in here too. And then every couple days, I'll switch them out, wash one pair, have them hanging on the pack to dry out, and have clean socks to hike in. But these are some really thick Smart Wool Expedition weight socks. These are what I sleep in on pretty much every trip. That's all they're used for. I guess in an emergency I could hike in them, but that's pretty much all they're for. Okay, then puffy jacket. So again, this was featured on the new gear. This is the Decathlon Trek 100 down jacket. The last trip I just took with my son, it was down in the 20s overnight and the mid to low 30s most of the morning. And this with my base layer and my Melanzana hoodie, I was perfectly comfortable. So now I can say, I mean, I've really tested it in colder temperatures. This is every bit as warm as my Arc'teryx Cerium down jacket. I love this thing, and for 80-90 bucks that it costs, this is probably one of the best deals out there for down jackets. And then the last thing in the bottom is the quilt. So this is my, there's the sack. This is the Enlightened Equipment Revelation 20-degree top quilt. I've used this same quilt for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I absolutely love this quilt. I've learned over the last couple years that the pad straps are very important. I didn't use them for a while, and I don't really know why, and then I was always complaining about drafts, and then I realized that's what those are for. So once I figured that out, even on this last trip, getting down to 28, 29 degrees, I was toasty warm in this thing with just my base layers, those socks, and I had the Melanzana hoodie on, but I probably could have even done without that. I was toasty warm. So most every trip, this is what I take. It's the Revelation, so you can open it all the way up like a blanket. I mean, you can get different models where it has the stitched foot boxes. My 0-degree hammock gear quilt has the stitched foot box, because if I'm taking that quilt, I don't think there's ever a world where I would want to open up a 0-degree quilt. I would just take this. But this just gives me the flexibility with this one to be able to use it for most every situation other than summertime where I've got some lighter weight ones. And that's it. So that is everything that I will be taking for the bulk of every trip that I do this year. All that stuff, right about 10, 11 pounds. You know, you can switch out sleeping pads. I have different packs, have different tents for different situations. But for the bulk of my trips where I'm going multiple days trying to cover some miles, this is what I'll use. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. And thanks for watching. See you on the next one.